Hey everybody, we're going to be doing this little bunny here, and I've already put it in my journal. And today we're going to be using, or I am going to be using the um, art noise. It's from Try Art, and it's a new to me. It's a Canadian manufacturer, and they have all kinds of stuff. They have acrylic, they have watercolor, gouache, and I think they even have oils. So check them out if you're in Canada. Very economical, and their paint is fantastic, just as good as any of the Daniel Smith or any of those. So I have um, primary yellow, primary cyan, titanium white, pyrrole red, burnt umber, and carbon black. And these are the only colors I'm going to be using. And if we need to make a color besides these, we'll mix them up and make them. I'm trying to do this as economically as possible. These are very, very um, great price. You can get this as a set if you go on their website. And like I said, they're very good as far as their quality. So I'm using these brushes today, and these are Princeton Select. This is a round blender, and then this is X and Bowen, I think it's called. And this is an angled brush. I believe I got these on Temu. I know some people don't like Temu, but hey, they're not. No one else is paying my bills, so it's a good price. I have a pot of water here, and I have let's see, a little dish. This is just the coffee lid. I like to use them, then you don't have to worry about disposing of paper pellets. So what I'm going to do here, let's see if this is, we're going to start off with the background first. As you see, I have not put all these little trees in the background in my painting or my sketch here. You don't need to. Just the main trees is pretty well all you'll need. And then you can put the other ones, because these are the ones that are more detailed than these. So we want to start off by putting in the background. As you can see, it's dark, and then it gets light as it goes up to the top. So we're just going to use a blend of white and the blue together. I'm just going to shake this up. Blue and the white, and we'll make a softer blue. So I'm just going to take a little bit of the white to the side here, and just with the very tip of my brush, I'm going to add a little bit of blue. A little bit at a time is better than too much. Always add your lightest color first. As you can see, it's kind of a little bit on the baby blue side. So let's put a little bit of black in there and see what we can get. I'm going to put some black over here. And with the black is usually very, very potent. So let's see what we get. Put a little bit more. That's better. Okay, so we have the sky, so lighter in the top. And I'm going to go around my main objects in this. I can add a little bit of white as I go. I hope you're all having a fantastic week so far. It's been very stormy here. We've got tons of snow, like feet. It's gonna, and we haven't had any melting days, so it's gonna take a while to get rid of this snow. And I don't want it to happen all at once, because then we'll end up with flooding because we have so much snow. But I will be very happy to see it go. Well, as I go down, I'm going to remember, I'm not concerned about the back trees because they're more or less silhouettes, and we can put those in later. Now this, as you can see, is fairly opaque, so it's a great gouache. And this is acrylic gouache. So if you're in Canada and you have the chance to find this, they have it in a lot of stores now, art stores, and you can also buy online. And they're very, very reasonably priced. And I believe they also have a free shipping after a certain amount, which is always good. So we always love that free shipping. Now this is also just a reference photo. This one I had bought. So you can use it. Just download it and use it for your own personal use. I'm going to put a little bit more light color on the top here, because I want it a little bit darker on the bottom than the top. When you look at a sky, usually the blue color is lighter as you go up, and it gets darker when you get down to the horizon. So a bit of black in there. Might have put too much. That's not bad. Okay, some white. Get a little bit more on the dark side as we go up. Now with gouache, it's a little bit different, I find, for painting than you would say acrylic, even though this is acrylic gouache. You have to be a little quicker with the acrylic gouache, because if you want to blend, then you have to do it while it's wet. Because once it's dry, it's dry. It's not going to move. So you can always add your white or whatever if you want to blend it in a little bit smoother. There we go. So this can also be done with just plain acrylics if you want. You don't have to use gouache for this. So if you have an acrylic, craft acrylics or regular artist grade acrylics, use them. Use what you have. Don't go out and be buying stuff just to do this. Most of your art supplies can be used in different ways. So it's not like you have to buy gouache to do a certain thing. A lot of times you can incorporate things to it or use it in a different way to get the same effect. All right, so I am going to put the little bit of snowbank here also. So let's put a little bit more white in here. I'm going to try and slow down too. I find when I do YouTube, I have a tendency to work fast just because of the trying to get it under a certain time slot for videos because of the YouTube and uploading time takes a while. But I gotta learn, I find, to slow down more as I'm finding it stressful now. I never used to, but recently I've been thinking a lot about why I'm feeling the way I am about doing art on YouTube. And I find I'm rushed, and I don't like to rush. For me, doing art is about the process of doing art, not necessarily just the finished product. So I'm finding real, I don't know what you call it, struggle. All right. Okay, now we're going to be doing, maybe let's do these trees. As you can see, there's a bit of a blue background to them. So I'm going to take a little bit of this blue, but more on the wet side because I want to see my marks. And maybe even lighter than that. Let's see. Because they are still trees, and I want to be able to see the markings. So I'm going to try and make it so that it's fairly transparent. Now this is watercolor paper, so see, that just stuck right into it. It's not moving. So that's the one thing about this gouache, an acrylic gouache. You learn to work with things too. Like, I know there's so many people that say, you know, you got to have this paper and you got to have that paper in order for it to be any good. That's not, for me, that's not true. And I don't think it's true for a lot of people. I think it's more of a challenge for me not to, and I like that because if if you work and study how to paint, you can paint on anything. The artists in the past, some of them painted on whatever they could find, and it was still a fantastic painting. So, yeah, it might help a bit, but if you're a really good artist and you, what would you say? You have to change the way you do things if it's not um, working the same on certain papers, and that's a good thing. All right. So remember, when you're doing painting, there's always ugly stages, and it's starting to get that way. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to put all these little bits of, I guess, pine or spruce, probably pine because it's longer needles. And we're going to need a little bit of brown, so I have this brown that I'm going to use. Just a dab. Squeeze some of it out. Kind of splurted. So I'm going to get a smaller brush. See, I like using these very inexpensive calligraphy brushes from China or Japan. They have a really nice point, very inexpensive, but I use them a lot in all mediums. They're great in watercolor, gouache, acrylic. So don't worry about really detailed lines because a lot of this will be covered up with needles. You just want an indication of where they are. Let's see. There, right here. There. I think that's it. Okay, we'll let that dry. Get the angled brush again. And the tree has a little bit of a glow, background glow of a creamy brown color right in kind of the center. So I want it fairly watered down. Don't want it too there. Just in the center. There's this kind of glow on the birch. Even almost a gray too. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a bit of gray, so a little bit of black, fairly watered down, and then a smidgen. I don't want it too gray though, but maybe even darker than that. In case you want to see. Take some off. And then it's just basically a few marks. I'm just using the very tip of my brush. And a little bit of water. I still have some color on my brush. It gets lighter. This one here is more on the gray side. So a little bit more in the gray. You could almost go blue, but I'm just going to go on the gray side. These, a lot, depending on the birch, they're all different. Some are a lot more kind of a grayish tan color. They're not white and black. And then we'll put little marks too. And then the limbs are usually darker though. Not necessarily though this black color. A lot of times they're more on the red side of things, or burgundy, I guess you could say. You could take a smaller round and make the limbs if you want them really fine. Sometimes I just touch, because it doesn't have to show the whole limb. Sometimes it's good to have little areas that are kind of skipped when you're doing this. Looks a little more realistic. Just experiment. That's what I like to do. Is I'll go out and I got a bunch of these in my garden, so I like to just look at them and draw them. That's the best thing to do, is go out somewhere where there's a bunch of different trees and really study them. If you're at all thinking of doing more of a realistic painting, that's really important. A little bit more on the gray side here and there. So they do have a lot of, depending on what type of birch it is. Mine are river birch that I have, and they really peel. The bark is very shaggy almost, you could say. So it'll have different colors. And just put a little bit of a kind of dirty water actually down the side again. Make it a little bit darker. This one's got a little bit more also down the side. And we'll put a little bit of snow on these too. First we have to do this. A little bit of shadows. And this one here will have a little bit more. You put a little bit more of that brown in too. So I know mine have, I'm going to add a little bit of the primary yellow, just a smidge, or where I want to add a little bit more of a warmer brown. So we'll put a little bit in here. Too much water. In here and there. Just spot it in here and there. It looks good. All right. Now I think I'm going to add a little bit more black into this blue. So I'm going to get the blue again and put some more black in there. I want it really dark. Now I've got water on my brush. I want this area fairly dark because I'm going to put white on the little branches of the pine trees here. So I want it to show up a little bit more. So I'm going to put a darker background, that way you'll have a little bit more contrast when painting those in. And I'm not worried about it being scruffy, or because it'll be covered up a lot with other pieces. Okay, so these trees here in the background, it's just a darker version of those. So we could actually, let's see, maybe a little bit of white in there. Let's see what we can get here. It has to be a little bit darker because we want to see it. All right, so now I'm going to put in a few more. Now this isn't exactly the blue, but if you want it a little bit more darker blue, you could go into a Payne's gray, or...
Were you saying something?
I'm doing a stream.
Oh, sorry.
put in a bunch of these trees in the background. Make them different thicknesses too. That was my son. He's homesick. If you hear dogs walking around, I'm upstairs. So the puppies are not used to me streaming up here. All right, a little thicker. Let's put some bit of tree limbs in them here and there. So I'm going to put a few more on the darker ones in here, a little bit thicker, just to give it substance. Here. All right, now I think we could put in the rabbit. I think I'm going to try using my round blender for this part. So I'm just going to add just a smidgen of gray to this. You may not even notice the difference. It's more or less a dirty beige color, I guess. And I'm just going to color his face in here. And then the ears are a little bit darker, so a little more gray. So right at the top, gray, and right in here. And then just a little bit on the bottom here where his scarf is. So very little water on my brush. And then right in along the back here, and along the edge. Right in there where his feet meet. And right in here along the bottom where his leg would be. And this brush gives it kind of a ragged look. All right, so then I want to take a little bit more white on my brush. still got gray in it, but and then just sweep it into that darker gray color. Same with around the eye here. We could actually put a little bit more. We want it a little bit on the dry side though. I'm gonna just a bit of gray around the eye here. Like that, and around the bottom of the eye there. More there. That. So it's kind of layers that you're doing. Gives it a fuzzy look. You do it this way. A little bit more. Down in here. More. And just a smidgen more into the cheek this time. Just to give that a little bit more roundness look, because we're going to add white to this. And a little more into the ear here. We're going to add a little bit more pink, kind of. So we need some red. Just a dab. And so I want to take a little yellow and just a smidgen. Let's try that again. A little bit of white. More red. There. I want it kind of on the peachy side. Okay. So we'll just put this in his ear. And just a smidgen on the side here of this one. So because it's a little bit on the transparent side, it's gonna still show that gray. And a little smidgen on his nose. Just down where his lip is. Right, I'm going to go back into that gray color and just by the eye here, it's a little bit and around the muzzle. Let's put some under the scarf. around here. A little bit darker on this side. Nice thing about this acrylic wash is you can use your brush a little more, not worry about it coming up from the layer behind it. I got some brown on my brush now. Maybe a little bit of black in that though. Okay, we have some darker areas. Just very light brush marks. Very, very light. Hardly touching it at all. These blenders are great for this. And there's different blenders you can get. I actually found a really good blender for models that are really great. Just going to put a little bit in there where it would be a little dark. You can always go back over it too. Maybe a smidgen in there. Right in here, behind the ear. Okay. I'm going to take my white, just white. Make sure your brush doesn't have too much water in it. And then from the lightest areas, you just want to pay attention to the way the fur would be laying, because you want to be flicking it in that direction. You want that fuzzy look. The little muzzle would be brighter. And just a smidgen on that side. Underneath his eye a little bit. So just very, very light strokes. We can always come back in with colored pencils or markers if you find that is easier for you. Let's do a little bit on this part of his neck. So I'm flicking into, and it's very, very pale, so you're not going to get a huge amount of difference, but it is noticeable. Once you start doing these layers, each layer gets brighter and brighter. There's a little paw there. And his little knee is right here. I don't know what you call it. Is it a knee? Joint? I don't know. It's back leg. He's a little bit rough along that edge. All right, and then get some bright snow right around his knees and feet here. You can always add marker too. We'll try and put some of this in. So make it uneven. Okay, I'm going to put the marks in with the calligraphy brush, and this is going to be the dark color here that I made. So your pines are going to very lightly going to go in the same direction. Then we'll put snow on them. So put the needles all in the same, going the same direction. There's usually a bunch on the top. If you want to use a marker, you can go ahead and do that, or a colored pencil. Whatever's easier for you. I'll put some in with this, and then I'll show you what I do with a marker. Okay, let's see. Got here in markers. Okay, these are acrylic markers. I don't remember what brand, it's Japanese. This should work. It's a little bit lighter. Let's try a darker one. This one. This is black. I think that'd be too dark. They come in a lot of colors, so let's see. Let's try this one. Let's see if it's, yeah, it's better. Because we'll be going over these again with snow, and you could add multicolored markers too. It doesn't have to be just one color. Looks better actually if you use more than one shade. So I'm trying to go as light as I can. I don't want a really thick line. Now these aren't the finest, but they'll do. That. Here we go. All right, now let's get some more of this plain white. And this picture shows snowballs, but I'm not going to put snowballs. I'm just going to tap on parts of the pine tree here. So you'd probably see the underneath of them if it was a fresh snowfall. So just a little bit. That'll give you more of a snowflake, light snow look to it if you just tap. Now I'm experimenting here, so if you find a different way to put it on, let me know. I'm fairly new to the acrylics, or not acrylics, the gouache. So you have to experiment in order to learn. This poor little guy's buried in the snow. You can go back over top of some of this too after it's dry. Put some more of the pine needles sticking out of the snow. Okay, I'm going to get my, let's use the black here. Actually, let's put a little bit of that blue color in his eye, in the bottom part of his eye. Now, I know rabbits' eyes aren't necessarily blue, but I'm going to make it mine. And then I'm going to put line in. And he has don't want to make him mad looking. So do that for now, let it dry, and then we'll put in the highlight and stuff. His little mouth is got that reddish pinky color. So just put his little mouth in there. His little nose. Like that. And then just a little bit of dark going into his ear here. I'm going to try and spread it out before it dries. Maybe a little bit on the top. And then a little bit of, maybe we'll do colored pencil. Not sure. Let's put the sweater in while that's drying. The sweater, I'm going to put the dark in first, so kind of a dark gray first. Should be good enough. Just outlining the areas that are folded. that. And maybe in there. We'll probably go over this and put some fur overlapping. And then we can always try and move it a bit. Let's do some purple. So I'm just going to basically a bit more purpley. Put in areas. And then a little bit more on the pinky side. So it's two-toned. Okay. Yes, I do have it right. So I do have a white acrylic marker here. So let's see what we can do. I do want some snow. On here. The snow has a shadow, and we'll put that in. We could have put it in first, but we can still put it in. See a little bit there. Make it uneven. And then a little bit around his eye. Now make him look less angry. And I'm going to put a little bit in here to soften that. Give him a little bit of a muzzle. That. He does have whiskers. Let's give him a little bit of furriness here in his ears. And just separate a little bit. So you can soften your marks. These are a little bit big, but I think they'll be okay. And a little bit of a shine. And then just on the tops here, I'm going to just dab, kind of like snow sitting on his scarf. Now you can put all those lines in if you want that are showing the pattern, but I'm not going to. Making them a little bit fuzzier. That right in here. I'm going to get a little bit more, where's that brush, of that brown on his, right in here. Too dry. A little bit shadowy. All right. Let's soften this up a little bit. Looks a bit dark. So a little bit of that. Could be a little darker on one side than the other. So I'm just using the same colors that I had. Okay. And just a smidgen of this along the bottom. Needs to be a little darker. Maybe a few little uneven areas. And then a little bit of that blue again. For the snow. Just to give this a little bit more dimension where the snow would be. So it'd have also a little bit of shadow in it. Maybe a touch of black. Oop, too much. Oop. Try it again. There. Kind of want it uneven because the snow would be an uneven look to it. Remember, snow has shadow to it. So we can put some of that in there on the limbs and then go back over top of it again with the white. Okay. Okay, let's take our brush again and dip it in the white. and just on the very tops where the sun would be, where the light would be more bright. We want that. Brightness. More opaque looking. Right. And then the white marker again, just on the very top. That's not very bright. Let's try a Posca instead. Just along the very top. Doesn't like going over top of this, apparently. All right. All right. I think that's it. Maybe a little bit in here because it's kind of hard to see the edge of this ear. That's a little better. All right, I think I'm done. Turned out pretty good. Maybe I always do this, and then I see something. All about the details. Just a little darker on the outside of this. Right there. And it kind of has an eyebrow right there. A little bit. A little darker on the like that. Just using the very, very tip. Maybe a little bit in here, just at the top, and this here. All right, I think I'm done. That's it. All right, I hope you enjoyed this, and if you try this, I would love to see it. You can post and tag me on Instagram, Kathy Arbor, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.